Hello, my name is Pastor Kathy Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We are reading through the Bible with commentary. We are in the book of 1 Kings, which, like Samuel, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, were originally one book in Hebrew until they got translated into Greek. And we are now up to King Solomon, who has established his reign, has asked for wisdom, has shown how wise he is, and now he's going to build a temple. So we are in chapter 5. Now King Hiram of Tyre sent his servants to Solomon when he heard that they had anointed him king in place of his father, for Hiram had always been a friend to David. Solomon sent word to Hiram, saying, "You know that my father David could not build a house for the name of the Lord his God, because of the warfare with which his enemies surrounded him, until the Lord put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord my God has given me rest on every side. There is neither adversary there is neither adversary nor misfortune. So I intend to build a house for the name of the Lord my God, as the Lord said to my father David. Your son, whom I will set on your throne in your place, shall build a house for my name. Therefore command that cedars from Lebanon be cut for me. My servants will join your servants, and I will give you whatever wages you set for your servants, for you know that there is no one among us who knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians." So Solomon is saying, I'm established, I'm at peace, I've got the money. Let's build a temple for God. And so they have a treaty with the Sidonians and have had. And so Hiram is like, yes, we are continuing our treaty. Verse 7. When Hiram heard the words of Solomon, he rejoiced greatly and said, "Blessed be the Lord today, who has given to David a wise son to be over this great people." Hiram sent word to Solomon, "I have heard the message that you have sent to me. I will fulfill all your needs in the matter of cedar and cypress timber. My servants shall bring it down to the sea from Lebanon. I will make it into rafts to go by sea to the place you indicate. I will have them broken up there for you to take away, and you shall meet my needs of providing food for my household." So Hiram supplied Solomon's every need for timber, of cedar and cypress. Solomon in turn gave Hiram 20,000 cores of wheat as food for his household and 20 cores of fine oil. Solomon gave this to Hiram year by year. So the Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. So Hiram is providing lots of wood, and Solomon is providing lots of food, and they are happily engaged with each other. Verse 13, King Solomon conscripted forced labor out of all Israel. The levy numbered 30,000 men. He sent them to the Lebanon, 10,000 a month in shifts, and they would be a month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon also had 70,000 laborers and 80,000 stonecutters in the hill country. Besides, Solomon's 3,300 supervisors were over the work, having charge of the people who did the work. At the king's command, they quarried out great costly stones in order to lay the foundation of the house with dressed stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the Gebalites did the stone cutting and prepared the timber and the stone to build the house. Chapter 6. In the 480th year after the Israelites came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the 2nd month, he began to build the house of the Lord. And according to my study Bible, that number doesn't quite fit with the archaeological. Like, when was the temple really built? They know there was a temple, but when was it actually built? And so dating things, they didn't exactly have a uniform dating system. So my footnote says that they think it was probably built during the time of Ramesses in Egypt, but they're not sure. The house that King Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. So a cubit is the length of a man's forearm, or about 18 inches. So if you hear 60 cubits long, that's not 60 feet. It's probably more like 60 and a half, like 90 feet. 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and I have to do math, 45 cubits high, 45 feet high. So not small, but not massive either. The vestibule in front of the nave of the house was 20 cubits wide across the width of the house. Its depth was 10 cubits in front of the house. For the house he made windows with recessed frames. He also built a structure against the wall of the house, running around the walls of the house, both the nave and the inner sanctuary, and he made the side chambers all around. The lowest story was 5 cubits wide, the middle one was 6 cubits wide, and the third was 7 cubits wide. For around the house around the outside of the house, he made offsets on the wall, in order that the supporting beams should not be inserted into the walls of the house. So you've got the temple, and then around the edges of the temple is like another building leading like walls, which is full of rooms for storerooms and people to sleep. Verse 7, the house was built with stone finished at the quarry, so that neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron was heard at the temple while it was being built. Verse 8, the entrance for the middle story was on the south side of the house. One went up by winding stairs to the middle story, and from the middle story to the third. So he built the house and finished it. He roofed the house with beams and planks of cedar. He built the structure against the whole house, each story 5 cubits high, and it was joined to the house with timbers of cedar. So if each story is 5 timbers high, that means each story is about 7.5 feet high. Now the word of the Lord came to Solomon concerning this house that you are building. If you will walk it now. My footnote says that this passage right here was added when they translated it into Greek. It's still kind of a cool passage. Now the word of the Lord came to Solomon concerning this house that you are building. If you will walk in my statutes, obey my ordinances, and keep all my commandments by walking in them, then I will establish my promise with you, which I made to your father David. I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. So that is not in the original Hebrew, but it was added when they translated it into Greek. Verse 14, so Solomon built the house and finished it. He lined the walls of the house on the inside with boards of cedar. From floor of the house to the rafters of the ceiling, he covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with boards of cypress. He built 20 cubits of the rear of the house with boards of cedar to the floor to the rafters, from the floor to the rafters. And he built this within as an inner sanctuary, as the most holy place. The house, that is, the nave in front of the inner sanctuary, was 40 cubits long, so 60 feet. The cedar within the house had carvings of gourds and open flowers. All was cedar, no stone was seen. So there's stone underneath, but the building itself is covered with wood. The inner sanctuary, he prepared the innermost part of the house to serve, it's early this morning, to set there the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. The interior of the inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 20 cubits high. So 30 feet wide, high, and length. That's perfect square. He overlaid it with pure gold. He also overlaid this altar with cedar. Solomon overlaid the inside of the house with pure gold. Then he drew chains of gold across in front of the inner sanctuary and overlaid it with gold. Next he overlaid the whole house with gold, in order that the whole house might be perfect. Even the whole altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary he overlaid with gold. So rock underneath, then a wooden structure completely coated with gold. Whenever you try to picture the inside of the temple, and probably even some of the out, but definitely all of the inside was completely gold covered. I don't know why when I used to read this, I never really registered just how shiny the inside of the temple would be, and how rich and how fancy, and then of course it's decorated. Verse 23, in the inner sanctuary he made 2 cherubim of olive wood, each 10 cubits high, which would be about 15 feet high. 5 cubits was the length of one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits the length of the other wing of the cherub. It was 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. So 10 cubits, so about 15 feet wide from wingspan across the wingspan. Both cherubim had the same measure and the same form. The height of one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was that of the other cherub. He put the cherubim in the innermost part of the house. The wings of the cherubim were spread out so that a wing of one was touching one wall, and a wing of the other cherub was touching the other wall. Their other wings toward the center of the house were touching wing to wing. He overlaid the cherubim with gold. So again, made out of wood, two huge angels with wings that go from one side of the wall to the other side of the wall and then meet in the middle. And they're wooden, but they are completely covered with gold. Verse 29, he carved the walls of the house all around about with carved engravings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers in the inner and outer rooms. The floor of the house he overlaid with gold in the inner and outer rooms. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made doors of olive wood. The lintel and the doorposts were 5-sided. He covered the 2 doors of olive wood with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid them with gold and spread gold on the cherubim and on the palm trees. Again, everything's completely covered with gold. The doors, the mantle, the lintels, the frames, everything. Verse 33, so also he made for the entrance to the nave doorposts of olive wood, 4-sided each, and 2 doors of cypress wood. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the 2 leaves of the other door were folding. He carved cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, overlaying them with gold, evenly applied upon the carved work. He built the inner court with 3 courses of dressed stone and 1 course of cedar beams. In the 4th year, the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid in the month of Ziv. In the 11th year, in the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, the house was finished in all its parts, according to its specifications. He was 7 years in building it. And my footnote says it's technically a little over 7, but they round it down because, of course, 7 is considered the number of completion. So this is the first temple. Solomon's temple was completely gold covered on the inside, because you can take a tiny piece of gold and bang it and make it paper, beyond paper thin, so thin, and then it'll just coat everything, so they can make all this beautiful carved wood and then completely coat it with gold from top to bottom, every part of it. Later when we get to, we'll hear about the other temple at the time of Rome. It's called the Second Temple. I just said that wrong. The Second Temple was when they come back from being exiled to Babylon, and they come back and they build a new temple. That is called the Second Temple, which was not nearly as beautiful as the first. Of course not, because Solomon's temple was the best and most amazing. So the Second Temple was built at the time when they returned from exile. Then there's the Third Temple, which is not considered the Third Temple, but it was built by Herod the Great, who was great because he did a lot of building, and he built so he took the Second Temple, and they never stopped doing any sacrifices, and he built a huge temple around the Second Temple, so that it really is a Third Temple, but it was always considered the Second Temple, or Herod's Temple, because the offerings never stopped. They continued having offerings. So that temple, which was built by Herod the Great, didn't stand very long and was torn down in AD 70 by the Romans when they did a siege of Jerusalem, and they carried away all the temple's gold and treasures, and all of the things from the temple were carried away by the Romans in about the year 70. So, but right now this is the first temple. This is Solomon's temple, which was the most magnificent and completely gold covered and completely beautiful. I think, well, how can we apply any of what we just read? It is good when we're not at war with other people. We can do all kinds of other good things, and we can build things and create things. And it is good to say we want to worship Lord, and how shall we worship the Lord? And today, as you see, I'm wearing my collar. It's Sunday for when I'm recording this, so I'm going to go and worship the Lord and be with God's people, and I'm very excited and looking forward to that. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Like, subscribe, comment. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.